Good morning and welcome to Mental Health Matters Office Hours with me, Dr Audrey Tang. My co-host is Judith Crosier. And this is the show where we talk about all things workplace well-being. Now, in today's digital world, what we seem to see is that clinicians, not all of them, but some of them feel that they have to play the digital game in order to reach clients, in order to, stay relevant. And the problem with that is the more likes you get, that little dopamine hit can get in the way of their original mission, which was to help people to give advice. And this is why we are really proud of doing the show that we do. We use long-form content. We don't do your 30 seconds on this, that, and the other. Yes, we will release reels and things like that, but we will always say, please remember, this does not substitute professional intervention. And what we're really proud to announce is that we have recently won the Southern Enterprise Award for being the best mental health awareness media platform. And we're very, very proud of that. So yay! And this is what today's show is going to be about. It's going to be about the hashtagization of mental health and what the problems are. So, Jude, have you seen anything recently on social media where you've kind of gone, oh, that's a bit weird?
All the time. I mean, yeah, there's influencers. There's all sorts of people who, say they are well-being experts or mental health experts and give a little kind of 30-second or 5-minute snippet about what they feel people should do in whatever situation. And they can't back it up with science, they can't back it up with credentials, as you can, and all of our guests do. So there's a lot of weird stuff out there.
There is. And the problem with the weird stuff is that we can't always tell necessarily what's real and what's not. And a lot of the influencers, I know some can be actually very good, but a lot of them, they've been through things themselves, which is very important, and they are sharing what works for them, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, and we really have to remain mindful of that. So in today's show, we have got a panel of our resident experts, of people who've been on the show before, and we are going to be talking about the hashtagization of mental health. Let's bring the panel in. Ladies, welcome to Mental Health Matters. We have career coach and HR consultant Amanda Connolly. We have a clinical psychologist, Dr. Maja Jankowska, and we have founder of Menopause Alliance, Anita Powell. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Now, let's just jump right in. I'm going to go with Amanda, first of all. It's really important that we raise awareness of wellbeing. Of course it is, in the workplace. But now, are you finding workplaces are getting a little bit too therapeutic? As in, everyone needs to have a mental health first aid, and they may not actually be trained properly.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting question, actually, Audrey, because definitely we are much more open to have these sorts of conversations now. Mental health and well-being has progressed to the fact that we can have conversations that previously were taboo about stress and anxiety and things like that. I think it's really important for people to acknowledge that the working relationship is a mutual relationship. So if you're well managed, well motivated, well rewarded, you should be sort of adding to sort of the profits or the delivery, but that means that you need to be open about what's happening. So if you are struggling, your company isn't expected to pick up on that. You need to talk to them about it. So being open and honest about it is really important. I do think you're right here. We're kind of on a tipping point at the moment.
I think we are.
Where it could go too fast. And everything that's sort of stressful becomes a mental health crisis. So that's about managing expectations and having really clear boundaries about things, I think. I think that what I'm hearing... I am hearing that there are companies where all their managers are trained in mental health, but they are by far the exception to the rule. What I'm hearing more of is that people are saying we have a mental health policy, we have, but the managers aren't trained in it and the staff don't really know what it is. So I think it's really important that we get that sweet spot that people feel that they're in a psychologically safe environment so they can open up and talk about things. but they need to realise it's not your organisation's responsibility to look after your mental health.
That makes perfect sense. And so on that, Anita, how would you suggest organisations, especially even the, not corporate, but third sector as well, and public organisations, how do we strike a balance between awareness of a healthy environment, but also providing support as needed and reminding ourselves that we have a responsibility to look after ourselves?
I mean, the first thing I would like to say, I understand that workplaces need to make a profit. And I totally understand that. So, and I think it's something that everyone needs to remember. So for every pound they give you, they expect to get a lot more for that pound. So I understand the business sense of trying to optimise on productivity of employees. Because in this day and age, if they can get rid of you for a computer, they will. So if you're in that space, then they need optimum productivity out of you. But humans run on emotions and feelings, and if they only get 3 hours sleep the night before, like I did yesterday, then it has an impact on their working day. So I understand that, well, for them to optimise on our productivity, they need to key into what we function on with regards to emotions and well-being and whatever. So but I do truly understand that there is this tipping point where employers just want you to work. But we all know if they could get rid of us, they would. And some people are going because of AI. So we know that they're trying to get rid of humans within the workplace. I think for organisations, they need to adopt wellness and mental health. But us as employees, we need to also understand that even if they're trained in mental health and wellness, it's to their gain, not to our gain.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
So sometimes they put things in place which influence what they want out of us, but it doesn't actually help us get better, if that makes sense. It's just about what happens when you're in the workplace. So sometimes they manipulate the workspace to optimise on work, but you actually go home more stressed, more tired. And you very often find that, okay, like human resources, they specialise in caring for the employee, but actually it's about taking care of the organisation's needs and optimising from that employer. So sometimes we need to understand wellness and mental health in the workplace is not the same as external.
Mental health support. Yes, yes. And this brings me nicely to Dr. Maja. How can we ourselves as employees recognise that even though workplace is there, we get praise, we get recognition, we get all of that, but we're not driving ourselves too hard, and we're not always just striving for the next little pat on the back and heading into burnout ourselves?
This is such an important question, and I think it kind of goes right to the heart of modern kind of type of workplaces and the dilemmas that we have around it. I think I just want to be clear, from psychological research and decades of research, we actually know that motivation and recognition is a very powerful motivator, and it actually drives well-being. It's really important for human beings to get it because it makes us feel seen, validated, valued, connected with other people, with other employees, with the organization as well. So that's that. We cannot undermine that. But for me, as a clinical psychologist, I see the shadow part of it when people actually kind of start to be so attached to this external validation that it affects their affects them in terms of burnout, in terms of anxiety, and also it can really decrease their sense of self-worth, because if we are kind of chasing that external goal and the environment changes, it's nothing to do with you. You know, there is a financial crash, or there are, restructurization or something happening in the workplace which has got nothing to do with you, but your self-worth is so attached to it, then you have a problem. So we just need to implement some changes. And if we have the time, I can tell you just a few pointers.
Very quickly, if we can give us a couple.
So for me, it's just decoupling that praise from performance. It cannot be kind of metric alone. So praising a team member, for instance, for learning, for setting a boundary so that they don't burn out, or recognizing that somebody really collaborated very well in the project, for instance, even though the project wasn't a success, you know, kind of. So praising people for the process and for the person they are is very important and brings that kind of internal
soft skills,
motivation. And then for me, it's also creating pathways to master, recognizing that people really love learning and developing, and kind of, if you feel that you are getting it within the organization, then you feel much more motivated. Granting autonomy, oh my God, so many people don't understand it, right? If you are allowed to work the way you work best, to the time you work best, that's much better. And the final one, very quickly, modeling, actually modeling through leaders, through managers, vulnerability, right? If a manager is able to admit to their limitations, to their difficulties, talk about their needs to rest, then it creates the psychological safety that is needed for other people to be able to have this conversation.
It's the role modelling that is, I think, very important for leaders. This question is really to all of you, but I'm going to just start with Anita first, then go to Amanda, then go to Dr. Maja, because what can happen in organisations is they might have the policy that no one reads, or they might not even have a policy. So that means people are going to find out information where they can find it, like social media, like fake news that's sent to them by their uncle or whoever. And menopause is probably quite a big area for this. How would you say we can balance our actual knowledge and identify fake news?
I think that this affects everyone, not just about health. I think they should even do classes in schools and stuff.
Yes.
It's about understanding and processing information you receive in social media. End of the day, social media is amazing for expressing feelings, thoughts, and because there are loads of social media is a way of getting rid of gatekeepers who stop us accessing information. The menopause space wouldn't actually be so open and so public if it hadn't been for social media, because people were sick and tired of suffering and their voices were not heard by doctors and GPs and National Health Service and by politicians. But they went onto social media and they started to talk about it, and it created a movement. So there are benefits to social media, but also there's loads of false information on social media. And it's about understanding that we have to have the skill set to become investigators. So we have to rely on good sources of information. We still have to rely on people who are qualified, and sometimes we have to check their qualifications.
Yes.
Because some people say that they're, I don't know, the president of a country, and they've got no qualifications at all.
A capable president.
So it's also about understanding that you need to absorb the information from somebody who's skilled, who's trained in a subject. It's also important to understand, are they just talking about their lived experience? And even though it might be valid, it doesn't mean it's your lived experience.
Yes, that's exactly that. I'm going to go on to Amanda, because I know when we've talked in the past, you've talked about the red washing. You put menopause on something and suddenly everyone sees it in a different way.
And I think this is the problem that we've got in our society at the moment with social media. It's just information overload. There is so much you can find of every different opinion. So I think it's really important, like you say, Anita, that trusted source, and people like Mind, the Health Foundation, the NHS, they're definitely the types of organisations you need to go to. And also, you know, sort of the people that are coming up, fact check them. There's lots of different fact checking tools that you can use. As an organisation, you shouldn't be putting anything out that you have not checked.
It's true.
Absolutely, because that's, again, it's like the role modelling thing, you know, being open about that. That's super important. I think that we all have a responsibility to make sure the information that we're sharing is factually correct and safe for people. The problem with sharing incorrect information, it can be dangerous, not just like mentally, but physically as well. So it's so important that we're going to make sure we're doing that, I think.
And Dr. Maja, I know we've talked about the problem of performers, for example, putting the mental health aspect in when they're not trained for mental health. So again, how do we keep ourselves safe with what we use as our mental health information?
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you. For me, the onus is also on me as somebody who is consuming that information and really kind of applying my critical skills. We've all been to school. We have some of those critical skills there. And I just want to give you one example. I follow this fantastic professor in psychology, Dr. Ina. She's a Ukrainian professor in the US, and she loves hunting for people who are saying, I can't say the word, but you know,
we know.
not factually correct information, specifically in the field of psychology. It's hugely entertaining, but it's very powerful as well. So she will find people who say things that are really incorrect, damaging, hurtful, you know, not based or rooted in research. And then she will do this little video and just kind of pause and comment on each point that they are making. This morning I watched one that was about somebody saying crazy things like, you know, if you like color blue, this is what it means about your personality. And she was kind of pointing out that there is actually no research. There have been attempts to research around the colors and personality, and it's not true. You know, they haven't found a correlation. So that's that. She also actually finds therapists or pseudo-therapists who say that they are qualified and they talk about mental health. One shares my name, Maja, so you can go and find her if you want. I'm not also associated with her, of course, but she says a lot of really incorrect things and things that can be dangerous for people.
Yes.
And when you actually check the credentials, right? She's got masters in geography and something. I mean, she doesn't even have an undergraduate degree in psychology. So how is she qualified to say those things? So again, Dr. Ina was kind of, I've already known about her, but there was a nice video about it. So employ your own, don't forget that you have a mind. You have brain on you, you have critical skills. Ask yourself, does it kind of link with what I know? Does it make sense? Do I need to check it? Do I need to check the credentials of this person? And then go with that.
Who's telling me this and why are they telling it to me?
Yeah.
That's
Brilliant. Hold those thoughts. We'll be back just after this.
Navigating today's workplace is tough.
Toxic employees, endless drama, a lack of motivation. We've all been there.
But fear not, we are here to help. My name is Leanne and I'm a chartered psychologist.
My name is Al and I'm a business owner, and together we dig into the scientific and commercial secrets behind great workplace cultures in Truth, Lies and Work.
A no-nonsense award-winning psychology podcast brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. We explore practical strategies for building a great workplace.
We debunk buzzwords and bring you the very best advice around finding and keeping great people, from personality tests.
Personality tests they're mostly bollocks. I don't know what kind of language you do on your podcast. I don't know if people know this, but the man who wrote the Wonder Woman comics is the person who invented the disc.
When more flexible working became a norm, you no longer hurt your career prospects by being the one person who worked flexibly.
All the way to avoiding high turnover.
We recruit and promote people to managerial roles based on their technical skills, not their people skills. This is a very fundamental problem we have, which we haven't directly tackled.
From toxic-free cultures,
Interventions for the individual are only half the answer. Systemic change is the other half.
to sustainable growth.
Thinking beyond just paying somebody a good salary, I think is super necessary now. We have to offer so much more than that.
We have got you covered.
So join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we help you to simplify the science of work and build amazing workplace cultures.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters Office Hours. We've got a wonderful panel of experts in today, and we are talking about the hashtagization of mental health and well-being and how to look out for fake news, the issues that are facing the profession at the moment. And we're going to jump back in with Amanda, who's our HR consultant. Of course, it's really important that we look after people's well-being, as I've said that, but there is an issue with the workplace becoming a bit therapeutic in the sense of you're going to have managers now who are trying to give therapy when actually they should just be giving instruction and referring them. How do we deal with that? That's one of the issues.
As an HR person, if I knew any of my managers were therapizing people, I'd have a real problem with that. I think it's about people understanding their roles and responsibilities, number one. A manager is not there to be your counsellor, it's not there to be your therapist, but they are there to signpost you So that's super important. I think that the boundary thing is really important when it comes to sort of knowing your role and what's expected of you, but also as an employee, what is my role in terms of my own mental health?
Yes.
You know, it does happen where your managers are completely clueless. And or they might be the cause of your stress. Where do you go then? Well, your HR, hopefully, if you've got an HR team, if not sort of like whoever's leading, and then they should be able to earmark you. But I think it's or signpost you to the relevant people. But I think it's really important that we take responsibilities for our own mental health as well. So.
Yeah, and I just tag on to that point as well. What about if we flip it and actually work is the place where that person is thriving and doing really, really well, but they're stressed because of something outside. But what the worker or the organisation has done is they've gone, oh, well, we'll just send you home then and sign you off sick, which can be one of the worst things you can do for that person.
So there's kind of two reasons why people are stressed. If it's work related, then I would never ever suggest just signing them off, because you don't know, you need to start addressing the issue. It's important that you're taking proactive steps to reduce that, and that might be you sort of give them a slightly less workload, or you might be talking about the expectations for the manager. What I found historically is that people get stressed and anxious in work because their managers aren't giving them clear direction. So the HR team is a great step to say, right, and then I'm having to work with a manager to make sure that they're doing their job, that they're having good conversations with their staff members, they're setting realistic expectations, they're not calling them at 10 o'clock at night. So boundaries are super important. I think that if you've got strong boundaries around work, communication, expectations, then you have a much healthier team.
Yes, very much so. And sort of relating to that, Dr. Maja, in the workplace, we have coaching, we have mentoring, we have all of those things which are work related. Yeah, I come back to this therapy issue. How do we, I guess, tell managers that's not the space for it?
Oh, thank you so much. I really absolutely love this question. So for me, I think if you clock this one thing, you will know what we are talking about. There is a huge distinction between therapy and coaching or mentoring.
Yes.
I mean, obviously both of them can be incredibly transformational, and I wouldn't be I wouldn't want to take away anything from any other modality, but there is a huge distinction. For me, therapy is often about digging in the past, difficult experiences, often trauma, childhood issues, whatever it is, but we are looking in the past to learn, to understand, to formulate, so that we can make the present much better. Okay, yes. So the focus is on the individual and their history, their experience, and so that we can function better, be better in the present moment. Coaching and mentoring, for me, maybe you have a different opinion, I don't know, but it's about looking at what I have right now, the skills, the knowledge, the goals, framework.
And as a therapist, you're looking backwards. As a coach, I'm looking forward.
And it's about getting better. And for me, a lot of the coaching and mentoring in the workplace is super valuable. We have coaches who are about like business coaching, or I had mentor in my past role at the university where I was kind of climbing the career ladder and I needed a bit of help with that. But it's about working within this boundary and understanding the differences and understanding that workplace is not a confined, confidential, contained space, where you can deliver therapy. And your manager is not trained therapist. And the therapist, it would be disastrous if your therapist was trying to manage you, right? So just understand the roles and just stay within your limits of competence.
Some of that signposting is your manager pointing you to, say, EAP or therapist, but as an external provision.
I think we absolutely have to train the managers to understand, to spot the signs of distress, to understand the difference about what you were saying, is the problem is because the individual is suffering from recognizable mental health disorder, like maybe they have PTSD, maybe they have some phobia, maybe they have panic disorder, right? Spotting those symptoms. But there is a problem with saying that somebody who is stressed, burned out, anxious because, I don't know, there are layoffs or something like that, kind of coining it as a mental health problem. It's a normal stress.
Yeah.
It's a normal human
stress
reaction.
response.
Please don't pathologize it, And actually, it also lets the employer off the hook, I think, because if it's about those things, then the structure has to change.
Yes.
The culture has to change.
Yeah.
It's the organizational systemic problem. It's not a problem with the individual. So if we shift a problem and say, oh, you need therapy, or we need to therapize you in the workplace, I mean, it's not going to work, right?
Yes, I love that. Don't pathologize the problem. And can you imagine if our therapists were trained to manage us? That you nailed it. Anita, this brings in another issue, though, of course, of AI in therapy. And there's a lot of chatbots, there's a lot of app therapists now. What are your concerns and maybe some positives or hopes with that?
I mean, I've never used it myself. And I do like my AI. I'm starting to use it for everything, really. But I don't use it for that. I still think we, as humans, should be human.
Yeah.
We're not a robot.
Yeah.
And I think there's an element where it might help with a bit of mentoring or coaching or create structures and stuff like that to help you manage your finances, and because sometimes financial issues are your stressor. Yeah, so it might give out, kind of practical strategies, because AI can email you, have you done this today?
Yeah.
So it can give you little things like that. But if you were struggling with your marriage or suicidal, or actually if the best thing for you was to leave your job, talking to your manager is the last thing for you need, or you're dealing with grief because of death, I don't think that it's human enough to support you, and potentially dangerous because it hasn't got that human sensitivity and understanding, and it doesn't truly understand death. And so I think in that sense AI is not appropriate, but apparently loads of people are now paying for apps rather than talking to humans.
I think it's a generational thing as well, a little bit, Anita, because as menopausal women, we don't want to talk to an app about our problems, but actually Gen Z are fully engaged with using these things on a very much more basic level, because sort of we're at the point where we want to get into the minutiae of our problems and we want to talk to a person. But society has changed, so I think that there is a place for AI in therapy, but it's partnering with the people rather than overtaking them and giving people options. If you, as a Gen Z, want to talk to an AI app with very simple stuff and you're happy with that, then that's your entitlement. But I think for people like us, that wouldn't.
It's actually growing. It's growing within that area. And also there's a lot of people who are vulnerable, who are lonely. Yeah. So if you're lonely, you can't afford a therapist. You haven't got the confidence to talk about your mental health. AI seems accessible. It's on your phone, it's on your computer. You can talk to it 2 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep. So it's something that I can potentially see going into many vulnerable areas, accessing loads of vulnerable people, and menopausal women are that.
And actually just going on that vulnerability, and this probably will this is an open question, but we'll start with Dr. Maja on this. One thing, and I was speaking to another guest on the show about AI, and this was where AI, it can work 24 hours. If you're lonely at 2 a.m, AI is up there listening to you. That's putting a very funny precedent on what is expected of us, and it kind of relates to my burnout question of, well, if AI is always on, should I be always on? And so,
unfortunately, I'm seeing it more and more. I'm seeing both clients relying on AI, and where the danger is, I've heard some of my clients saying it's safer because the AI will not argue with me, or the AI will not breach my trust, or so AI will always follow you and will adapt to you and follow you wherever you are. So sometimes, especially people who are very sensitive, for instance, to rejection or shame, they prefer to talk to AI because AI will not shame them, right? That's one thing, but I just wanted to go back to Anita's point for a moment when you were saying it's kind of good for checking general staff finances, but even then, please check, because I asked AI recently a question just to double check what I was hearing from kind of financial independence kind of forum. And it was about a very specific threshold when you could move from one type of investment to another. and AI was wildly wrong. And then we had a discussion about it, and it was all about, AI is very good for generic stuff, like, for broad questions, but when you ask specific, so the more kind of complex mental health issues are, the less AI would be useful, okay? I think you can ask it, I'm having this problem with dating, what could I do?
Some tips.
Some tips, so that's okay, but you can't ask AI to provide you with therapy for complex trauma.
So another dangerous area with regards to AI, and it's targeting me because I keep getting adverts for it, is boyfriends. so I go on social media and said, "Hi, are you looking for someone? Why don't you get an AI boyfriend?"
What have you been doing with your algorithms, Anita?
I don't know what I do about algorithms. So my danger there is actually a lot of people are actually developing AI boyfriends and girlfriends, which is unhealthy.
This is really unhealthy.
I don't know that.
Lower the tone.
Oh, you don't get the ad then.
No, but it goes back to what I said, that some of my clients are already telling me that they feel safer. But AI boyfriend will not argue with you, or will not tell you what to do, right?
We had this problem when I was growing up with pornography, and if you watch all of that, then that's what you assume is going to happen. You're in a relationship with a virtual kind of character on this screen. There are huge problems related to it. So hold those thoughts. We'll be back just after this.
Our passion for coffee goes way beyond the cup. We believe in a fair production chain in which each coffee farmer plays an essential role. We are proud to support our communities and promote environmental sustainability. Bedford Coffee Roasters guarantees an exceptional experience for producers and consumers. Join us on our journey to extraordinary coffee, where quality, sustainability and fairness come together to create an experience unlike any other. Ground with passion, served with pride. Bedford Coffee Roasters, coffee worth drinking.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters Office Hours. We're having a fabulous discussion about the hashtagization, or some of the issues that social media can be bringing into the mental health space. And we've got three very different but very wonderful guest experts with us. We've got our HR consultant, we've got our clinical psychologist, and we've got our founder of Menopause Alliance and speaker and advocate for people whose voices aren't always heard. So it's a wonderful panel we've got here. Let's move on to boundary setting. Now, this is something that, Amanda, you brought up during the break. And this is how we practice boundary setting when a lot of organisations are asking us to work for free. So just curious to know your thoughts on that, because this is something that's coming in more, and it's coming in more probably with AI, because they'll go, well, I can just get AI to do that bit, or whatever. Why should I have a person? So let's open with boundary settings in the face of working for free.
I think as someone that's setting up a coaching business, and also my specialism is menopausal women, career coaching for menopausal women, I want to put it out there. And I'm getting lots of opportunities through Anita and the Menopause Alliance to sort of share my knowledge with different organisations. But it happens quite often that they just won't want to pay you. And when you're trying to set up a business, I get that it's PR and, sort of, I'd hope that some of my work comes from the free stuff, although historically I've not had that experience myself. So I've been doing quite a few different sort of free things. So I think from that perspective, I'm struggling with the concept of, I think that we have to charge because we are different to AI. So you're giving that human approach, you're able to answer the complex issues that you wouldn't be able to use on an AI. So
I think that's, no, I think you're right. And we had a guest previously who was talking about music industry. And again, she very clearly said, don't be afraid to charge. If that's what you want to do, does it take me towards my goal or doesn't it? The one thing I would say, and this was a really great, it's one of those, those cross models that you see. Paid work, unpaid work. Does it benefit me? Doesn't it benefit me? And if it's paid and it benefits you, no-brainer. Yes, hell yes. Paid but no benefit, that's a question mark for you. And that's got to be a case of, was I treated nicely? Are they asking me, is there something that I have to say if I'm doing that for someone? Am I promoting something I don't want to promote? So that one's a bit of a question mark. Then there's unpaid but of high benefit, and that's where a lot of my work falls. So I do a lot of media comments, so I do a lot of stand-up magazines, we're talking Daily Mail, The Times as well, Metro, all of that, and the BBC. That's unpaid. But by having all of that,
exposure, yeah.
When a PR company wants to come to me and say, well, we need a psychologist to front this particular thing, this is what we'll pay you. They've got all of my background. They can see when I've done the comments, so they can see how I speak. So to me, that's a huge benefit for me. I will always do that. If it's of no benefit and it's unpaid, then it's a hell no. But
so basically, if it's a small organisation that you're not going to have the reach, then it's probably not going to be beneficial. But if you have that reach, then that's probably definitely beneficial.
There's one thing I will add on to that with certainly community-based organisations. They can't always afford to pay.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
And one thing I've heard from another guest, she always remembers as a therapist, somebody who was in corporate, they pay the full amount, and it meant her therapist could do the pro bono work for her for free. And she's never forgotten that. She's always gone back and given community stuff for free. So that's why I use that. Does it benefit me? Doesn't benefit? And we're talking moral benefit as well.
But I think you're also talking about values. I think understanding your own values and what feeds me, what nourishes me, and also my community, right? And if you have clarity on your own values, then if it really feeds into my values, if it works for me within my commitments and my, what's my priority right now, maybe I would have less problem going and kind of offering things for free. But I think before you say yes, because it's like a knee jerk, it's like a reflex to say yes, especially if you have tendency to be a people pleaser and you want to be liked and you want to be, or you have difficulty saying no. You will keep saying yes, but actually you have to pause and think, does it benefit me? Does it feed with or aligns with my values? Does it feed into my lifestyle and where I am at the moment? And that's really important to understand. And it can change, year on year over the lifetime.
Yeah, in fact, that really led me on to the question of what if you are a people pleaser? I mean, because that is an automatic tendency. I want to do this, and then you've got that extra drive of, and it gives me this sort of...
I would say all of us probably are in what I call recovery. Right? So I think the first thing is awareness. If you have awareness that this is your tendency, and it certainly is mine, I can then introduce mindful breaks. The more I kind of pause and have a break and think, do I want to say yes because I want to avoid conflict, or do I want to say yes because I want to be liked and I don't want to be kind of seen as a troublemaker, right? But actually, going back to my values, to where I am at the moment, does it align with it? Can I do it right now? And then it's easier to say no. And then we have the whole art of how we say no, which is so beautiful.
That is true. I always use I'll tell you later, I don't have my diary. And then it gives me time to think of an excuse. Anita, what are your non-negotiables? How do we start setting non-negotiables?
I don't know. Maybe I'm the wrong person. The problem I have with the subject matter, I'm on both sides of the kind of line with regards to it. I know, like I'm well known in menopause, I have no medical qualifications. I'm not a medical person.
You don't profess to be, though.
I don't profess to be. I don't profess to be. And I have, and I'm not a celebrity. But me doing free work has got me on BBC Breakfast, ITV, it's got me on Channel 4, it's got me on podcast for Louise Newson. I was working alongside Davina McCall, and I've also worked with some of the large pharmaceutical companies. So it's led to things which Anita, the community worker from Bedford, on paper should never got to those spaces. So there's a part of me that knows that my reputation in the space has been created by my activism and me doing things for free.
Yes.
But now I'm an older person and I'm tired and I just want money so I can sit and watch Netflix. So no.
Not true.
I completely understand offering pro bono work to charities and to extend your reach. But I guess my issue is companies that can afford to pay you want it for free.
Absolutely.
And it's also exploitation as well.
Then there's exploitation. Absolutely. That's a whole other show, which we would love. I would love to do. We are now running out of time. Oh my goodness, we could talk all day. Where can we learn more about each of you? Not to ask you to work for free. Where can we learn more about you?
Well, I've my website, Pause and Empower, and I'm also on LinkedIn, Amanda Connolly, as in Billy Connolly.
And I'm Dr. Maja Jankowska, so you can find me on expansionpsychology.com, Instagram Dr. Maja Jankowska, and LinkedIn Dr. Maja Jankowska. Easy.
LinkedIn, Anita Powell. And on social media, you can find me as Menopause Alliance, or you can also find me on my podcast, which I haven't done for ages, which is Black Menopause and Beyond. And just, in fact, if you just put in Anita Powell, I will appear. So.
And these women are absolutely amazing. It's why we have them on the show. Thank you to all of you personally. This was just such a great discussion. You will come back on the show again, won't you? Because it's just so fascinating. We'll be back just after this. A world without the arts is one without confidence, creativity and community. And yet funding has been reduced every year. Arts programmes have been shown to benefit social inclusion and well-being, particularly for marginalised groups, with projects fostering a sense of belonging, cultivating mutual understanding, and breaking down social barriers and isolation. Participation in arts programmes can help boost confidence and open doors to opportunities that may otherwise be inaccessible. Click Arts Foundation offers grants up to £2,000 for grassroots arts projects twice a year, with our Community Arts Experience trustees meticulously scoring each project on impact and sustainability. To date, we have supported craft and visual arts projects, dance, drumming for well-being, and preservation of heritage and culture. If you share our passion, not just for maintaining the arts themselves, but contributing to the many benefits it can bring, please consider making a donation to Click Arts Foundation registered charity. What a great panel!
They're amazing. They're always so interesting to listen to.
They really are. And so many different experiences. I liked having the different perspectives as well, because you can get to an echo chamber point sometimes where we're all just saying the same thing because we've all had the same experience. But to hear from different fields, but to know that the same issues exist but present differently, that was really interesting for me.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got such a different background and brings different experience, but also, even if they've had similar experiences, you know, they relate them differently, and there's a different take on it. So it's so comforting as well to hear people saying, "Oh yeah, that happened to me," or "I've had that experience," or whatever. Yes. So it's just great just to listen to them, and you know, just to have that panel feel as well about the programme.
What did you take from sort of the discussions? Any salient messages?
Well, I was listening in the audience and watching, and it just kind of brought up for me two completely different, going back to the first bit where you're talking about managers kind of going into a bit of being a therapist, you know, trying to kind of counsel their employees or their team members. And it just reminded me of two completely different experiences I've had in my past. I've spoken about this before. So one was probably about 20 years ago, and one was not long before I left teaching. This isn't why I left teaching, but it was I had burnout, basically. I just kind of got to the middle of a lesson and just didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what I was saying, just, you know, anyway. So the way that if I talk about that one first, they were great. My managers were absolutely amazing. They sort of metaphorically picked me up off the floor, told me just to go home for 2 weeks, and that actually turned into about a month. And then they organised a phased return, but they also, in the month that I was off, organised for some career counselling. It was very specialised towards employees, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I don't know what they said or how it worked, but it really worked, and I came back and then, you know, was as strong as ever. So that was a really great way that was handled. Experience. Yeah, so great. And I'll always be grateful, because they could have just wash their hands of me,
Yeah.
you know, but they didn't. It was amazing. But the other experience about 20 years ago was I spoke about this manager before, and he was the one who it was a sales environment, you know, and you have to join in or you're ostracized, basically. So he introduced, you know, kebab Fridays and McDonald's Wednesdays or whatever it was.
God.
And then after a few months of this, he told me that I was putting weight on.
Oh my gosh, yes. Do you
This
remember
one.
you saying this? Oh, that.
Exactly. And honestly, he took me into a room that no one ever uses and sat me there, and I had to listen to him for about an hour and a half, and he was trying, I realised after a while, to give me counselling. I mean, he's not a counsellor, he's like the person who should not be a counsellor. No empathy about anything at all. But that's what he tried to do for about an hour and a half, you know, how I should eat better, how I should lose weight, how when my colleagues ask me how I am, I shouldn't actually tell them how I am. I should lie and say I'm fine. And this went on and on and on. Yeah, so two very different experiences.
But it goes to show there are very different people out there leading other people.
Yeah, and there's still managers out there like that one 20 years ago who do. I think they think they, maybe not him, but they come with good intentions because they want to look after their team.
Yeah.
They want to look after their employees. So a friend of mine is currently on reduced hours, reduced days, because she's going through some stuff. But they've kind of done half their job kind of thing, but they think they're doing the right thing. They've said, okay, we'll work a 3-day week rather than a 5-day week for a while, see how you are. But they haven't signposted her what to do while she's at home. So you're right, you know, some of the issues that stem from home, she's being at home, and that's kind of exacerbating the problem. So I think there's a lot of well-intentioned managers.
That's a really nice point, actually, and I think it's getting more to be the case that there are, because there's so much talk about well-being, and it's become such a thing that everyone has to have some kind of well-being policy. Yeah. There's a lot of people who are either wanting to look good, or it's performative well-being. It's
box ticking.
Yeah, it's very much, oh yes, we have this, we have that, we have the other. And if you're feeling sad, come and have a cup of tea. And there's nothing more creepy than that, actually. So you've got to be really careful when you're doing that. And I would always say signpost people. I think that's the more sensible thing to do. And you don't, even as an organisation, have to pay for it.
No.
You can signpost, you can make a deal with a charity, perhaps, you know, so you're helping your community. But you can signpost to GP, signpost to A&E if you have to, but you don't have to be doing the therapy yourself.
No, you don't have to provide it, you don't have to pay for it. But as long as, and you don't even have to, because I know that someone in the audience is a manager, and she was saying, well, I wouldn't know where to signpost people, so you don't have to know where to signpost them. You can go away and find out, and then come back to your employee and say, well, I've, try this, this, and this. So there's always it's safe and responsible things to do.
It's safe and responsible, isn't it? And I think that's the biggest thing that we're facing when it comes to a lot of social media. You don't know what's going to be safe for you and what's not going to work, because there are so many things, and these might be physical health issues, for example. So I've mentioned it before, maybe not on the show, but I'm experiencing reflux, a lot of reflux. And then so you go online and you read all these things, and this doesn't work for people, this doesn't work for people, this doesn't work for people. Actually, some of that stuff's all right for me. It tells you avoid spicy food, but actually for me, because I'm so used to eating spicy food, it's not a major problem. But fatty food or fried food, or that's an issue. So I think you've really got to understand it's your body, it's your mind, it's your health that we're talking about. We're not actually, don't go into it going, oh, well, this, because it worked for this influencer, it's bound to work for me.
No, that's right.
And that's the thing with organisations.
Exactly right.
Don't go around going, oh, because this organisation, Google's doing it, it will work for us. No, Google's maybe a different setup.
Yeah, and so if you do work for a company with a wellbeing policy, then that wellbeing policy shouldn't be a box ticking thing. It should actually fit the company and fit the employees and fit the managers as well. And the managers should be au fait with it. They should know it kind of back to front, to know what to do in a situation where an employee needs
That
help.
reminds me of something else that I think I, again, have mentioned offset but not on air before. I was at a conference where we were talking about policies, wellbeing policies, but there are certain organisations whereby a normal wellbeing policy is not going to work. Getting
Absolutely.
people to talk about your mental health if you're in the aviation industry is not the space to do it.
No.
Because it will have major business impacts. So again, it's really important that anything you put in is fit for purpose. And if you just see something that someone's advertised or is on social media and you think, oh, that's a great idea, I'll just bring it in, it may not work.
Yeah.
And people get very surprised when it doesn't.
Well, exactly, because it comes under the umbrella of wellbeing. I think people think that anything under the umbrella of wellbeing is right, but it has to be the right fit.
And I wonder whether social media is having another effect on us as well. It's this whole thing of, well, if this worked for that company and it doesn't work for me, am I wrong?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not healthy. That's a bit like getting into the AI discussion that we had earlier as well. With, you've got to keep your own wits about you, haven't you? With things like, have you ever gone onto something and then seen it and then thought that's brilliant? Oh, wait a minute, I've just been sold something completely wrong.
I can't, nothing springs to mind, but then I'm naturally suspicious about things online in general anyway, which, you know.
I had an experience, not social media, but it's been publicised by social media, with CBD.
Right.
CBD. So
yes.
CBD is supposed to be good for your sleep, and I'm talking proper, high quality, registered, all of that. And everyone's banging on about it on social media. This was so good for me. It changed my life. It was absolutely brilliant. So I thought when I had the opportunity, it was with a PR organisation. Okay, I've got these CBD things and they're high quality. Let's give it a go. Will it help me sleep? Will it help me do whatever? And it really sent me a bit loopy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was weird. It was genuinely like a psychedelic, because actually for me, I think clearly I'm wired in a way that doesn't need it or doesn't react to it or is already firing on all those cylinders.
Well, yeah, clearly it reacted with you in a way that it wasn't designed to.
So again, that was not a bad vial of anything. That was properly medically graded, all of that kind of thing. But it just didn't work for me, despite everybody on social media saying it's brilliant. So
wow.
Be mindful. Remember, it's your mind, it's your body, it's your health. Please, please be critical about what you put in there. And on that, from us all here, have a healthy week.